Hi, welcome to Flute Topics, program covering all things flutes. I'm Helen of Helen's Willow, and I'll be your host. And along with my parrot, who might chime in on occasion, I am more than excited to have Paul Harvey with me. Hi, Paul.
Hey, Helen, how's it going?
It's going really well. You know, I get excited every time I have somebody on the show, but anybody who knows me knows I'm passionate about drones. So when you ever said yes and we started the process for this, I've just been waiting for tonight. Your story is just amazing. Never had a flute lesson. You get a flute, you play the flute, drones on top of it. You have a video that goes viral, and you got your first flute at Mount Rushmore. I mean, that is epic, Paul.
Well, I'm glad somebody thinks so.
Yeah, I think a lot of us do. So how did you come to music?
My whole family really kind of came into music. We had a family music band. I'm the third oldest of 10 kids. So we just kind of started playing music together. And one of the things that happened for me was I just picked up any woodwind instrument and started to play. I've never had a music lesson in my life. I can't read music, much to my chagrin sometimes. But yeah, no, when I came across that you mentioned Mount Rushmore, I was walking through one of the stores in Keystone, right at the base of Mount Rushmore, and there was this drone flute sitting there. Actually, this particular drone flute by High Spirits,
Beautiful.
key of A, and yeah, I picked it up and just started to play. And the owner was like, "Hey, keep playing that till somebody buys it, and I'll give you like $100 off." And I was like, "Oh, sweet, I'll keep playing." And eventually, he was just like, "Well, you know what, it really fits you, so take it. Here's a discount," and the rest, as they say, is kind of history.
Mm-hmm. That was a smart shop owner, and we all owe him a big debt of gratitude. Because I know I came across you when your video went viral, and I know a lot of people were like, "You've got to come to this flute site or this flute site," and you've joined the groups and joined the family, and it's really neat. And I love how your family is all musical. You sing, you play together, and in the flute circles, we all talk about playing with our brothers and our sisters, but you actually play with your biological brothers and sisters.
Yeah, it's such a huge blessing to be able to as well. Now, I've posted a couple of videos with my sister. I have 5 sisters and 4 brothers, so there's a bit to go around. But guitar and drums and violin. My sister plays violin. I haven't done a video with her doing that yet, but one will definitely be coming.
I hope so, because that's like my favorite instrument. I mean, I love the flute, but the violin can take me everywhere, just note by note, every emotion I could ever feel. I'm looking forward to that. But I know I saw one of your sisters on keyboards, and then you have that wonderful one with your brother drumming in a tunnel, and it's just everything about it is just echoing and coming forward and just in waves. It was beautiful.
Oh, yeah. I have a love affair with good acoustics, echo, and so forth. And I always try to find that natural echo, because I mean, it's great to get that with, using technology and whatnot. But man, there's just something you can't really beat about getting the response time, the playback that you have with the natural reverb as canyons, tunnels. There's in talks with the person who used to do down in the sewers, actually. And that's where they would go practice when they were in college. And so that's down in La Crosse. And next time I get down there, she's like, "Yeah, no, come on, I'll show you where it's at." That's like, okay, do I want to go into the tunnel underground with a stranger from the internet? But, the things you do for music, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, and you luck out, most of us don't, the majority. You've come in your work clothes. You're an iron worker, right?
Yep.
So where you work and where you play on your lunch breaks, most of us don't have access to. I mean, the ad I have, you're halfway up that skyscraper. I thought that was the top of it, and you let me know just before this. No, that was halfway up. Where have been some of your favorite buildings and places to play?
So skyscrapers are definitely a plus. When you're in a construction setting, which again is difficult for most people to get into with like insurance reasons, you can't really, although if you put on a hard hat and a vest, people won't look twice.
Well, I'm gonna come visit you and we're gonna go.
All right. We'll get you a vest and nobody will be none the wiser. I don't recommend that, of course, on the yes. Safety reasons, yes. Yeah. But no, I mean, being able to play really in, I would say probably skyscrapers have the best acoustically. I've played in other places, stadiums. Again, it's kind of interesting the places you can go with a hard hat and a vest. But yeah, that would be one of my favorite, I would say, up on the skyscrapers. The people at work, they all, they're, oh, who's that crazy flute guy? Yeah, it's me.
And do you have some of your workers come take lunch and listen to you play? And
Yep. No. Oh yeah. No. I get requests all the time. Hey, can you play this song while we're doing it? I think Edmund Fitzgerald was one that I played today, actually, on my way down. We got a long elevator ride, so he's like, "We're going down. We might as well play record the Edmund Fitzgerald." And I was like, I've never played that before, but here we go. And of course, maybe I'll pick out by ear. And so I actually hit it pretty decent, I thought. So I was like,
oh, I bet you did. I bet you did. You do have an incredible ear. That is not something I was blessed with. My husband does as well. And it really is a gift. And your sense of humor too. You're going down in an elevator, so why not play that song?
Yep. The ironworkers, they have a different sense of humor usually. I get quite a few when they first meet me, they're like, what is this, interesting individual? We'll use polite terminology. But they warm up to it really quick. And because, yeah, it's unique. And I think it's one of the reasons why that video went viral was, again, who's this gruff looking ironworker construction guy, and he's playing this beautiful melody in this awesomely acoustical location that looks, I think that was the reason I call it Concrete Piece, was that first video, was just because it was the dichotomy of harsh concrete, steel, and then that beautiful sound of the Native American flute that just...
Well, I know that's what got my attention, and it was such a sweet song. All your songs have this sweetness in it, but again, this goes back to your family. You have a very tight, wonderful family. And it is a dichotomy. It is stunning to sit there and get your attention in so many ways. And I also like the one where you put the lamp on while you're playing.
Yeah, I'm always trying to, do something a little different or figure it out. A lot of the music that I do is all improv. So it's whatever I'm making up on the spot and going with, and sometimes it works out, and sometimes you're like, why did he choose that note? But
oh, so you're a mere mortal like the rest of us.
Right, I guess. I mean, don't tell any of the ironworkers that. But,
Now, do any of them start playing percussion or have joined you in any way?
I've had some that will start, tapping on the table. Actually, there was I think he was a concrete finisher who said he's going to bring his guitar one of these days. So we're going to jam out, man. I mean, it's going to be on break, of course,
Yeah, you mentioned something to me at one point where obviously your video goes viral. You can't respond to everybody. But some people were like, oh, and he's on the job and he's playing. I mean, you're on your break. You can do what you like on your break.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things I learned was, you probably don't want to read all the comments. I've had multiple proposals for marriage. My wife looked at that a little squinty, but...
Well, with the marriage proposal that you did, which, by the way, folks, he's got on his YouTube channel, and it's a hoot. That's funny. That's funny.
Oh yeah, little bit of fun, long-term memories, but yeah.
I hope everybody goes and watches that one. Wow. So it sounds like with all the different buildings you have coming, you've got your drones, you've got the big long drone. Yes. Oh, isn't that something? I've played one of those and it was so wonderful. You're not stopping anytime soon. You're just going to keep on going and finding different places.
Oh yeah, yep. I'm gonna, like I said, I'll look for that acoustic if it's under a bridge, if it's an empty silo. I actually looking around when I see people that are working on water towers. Even I'm like, I could probably surreptitiously enter that particular job site.
Well, and I'd like to say congratulations on closing on your first home with you and your wonderful family. And I hope that you're going to be walking around looking for acoustic places in your house. And at that point, we'll have you back on and you tell us what you find in your house versus a skyscraper.
I have a flute room.
Oh, me too. But what's your flute room like?
Well, it's a little tinny, but it's got like an echo to it. So if I can keep storage things out of there, it's got shelving stuff for, oh yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. Yeah, no, so the wife was like, you want another flute? Well, why don't we get a house first? And so that's kind of how it went down. I guess I bought a $200,000 house for a $150 flute, I was like, although I don't know, I'm looking to get a triple flute here, so might be a little bit more, but that.
I have a triple flute from High Spirits, and I'm looking at another one by Elemental Flutes by Dustin Selva, and I'm telling you, in your hands, I cannot imagine. I know I'm having fun. I like what I'm doing, but I love the thought of what you're going to do. I really, really do. It's amazing. It's an amazing instrument. You are going to love it. It's funny, you bought a house so that you could get a flute. When I got married, I bought my husband his first horse. When I bought the house, I got a horse warming present for myself, which was another horse. So I get that concept.
Your husband's a very wise man.
Yes. Yeah. But Paul, you also told me a story, and it's one that I love. And you have a few videos of that too on your channel, and it's a church. Can you tell people how that came to be and what is in the future for that?
All right. So once upon a time, a long time ago, there was a church that was built in 1906. And in 1974, it was abandoned and left to sit. Circa 2010-ish, a particular young individual, may or may not have, depending on the statute of limitations, entered said building and discovered the amazing acoustics of said building. It is the largest country church east of the Mississippi, and I think the steeple is like around 200 feet.
Whoa.
And just the acoustics in there are spine tingling, I think is a word I've used. But fast forward a few years later, and a corporation, it's a charity company, I guess they call themselves the Hands Foundation, bought it, and now they are going to, their plan is to refurbish it and turn it into a recording studio. It's brilliant because their plan is to have it open for anybody. They had a short, it's kind of like a craft fair to kind of raise money for the project. And I walked in and I said, hey, do you mind if I showed up with my flutes one day? And he was like, oh yeah, no problem. Just give me a call. And so the videos that I posted on my YouTube channel, they were of, his name was Chris. He had a musician from Tennessee had come up to record in this church, in the cathedral there. And so I got a phone call from the guy. He was like, hey, I got somebody here recording, so bring your flutes and come on down. So I did, and we met, and not even 10 minutes after we met, we recorded that. First take, no rehearsal, nothing, just, there's something about the presence of that building when you're in there. It's magical, really. I mean, there's no other word for it. And the music that we made there was just phenomenal. Again, like I said, no practicing. Never met the guy before. The way they had the audio set up, he would stand behind me. So I mean, as you know, when you play with other people, being able to have eye contact is really important as you're trying to. Well, no eye contact. He's behind me, and I'm just like, all right, well, let's wing this. But you will have to come out there, and we will do some recording because it's going to be phenomenal.
Well, Paul, I am taking that to heart, and a lot of people will offer things, but this is one I am taking up on. That video was wonderful. I'm in love with that building. I'm in love with old churches. I'd love to, some point divest of my property here and buy an old church and do something with it. Maybe not one as big as that. But I know what you meant about spine tingling, because when I listened to that, I heard it, but I just literally know that it was even more so in person. And my husband and I take working vacations in kind of cool buildings where we play our instruments, we make our jewelry, and we sequester ourselves, no phone, no anything, and just buckle down. And we luck out in that there's a big church up in Vermont that we do, and the whole top floor is open span. You would love this place. It's not as grand a scale as what you're talking about, but for us, it's really grand. And it's open, and you can close these doors off, huge ceilings. It's just amazing. And looking at the one you were in, hearing the quality of the tone coming through the screen was amazing. To be there must be just to die for.
Oh yeah, and I'm actually, the audio that they recorded there, I haven't gotten yet, but it's been professionally recorded. I don't think he's done any mastering to it, but I'd like to get my hands on that just to see the difference, because all of that was recorded off the phone. Wow. So the quality of the mic on a phone isn't necessarily the greatest, but even still, like you were saying, able to hear and just feel that, the essence of, whatever it was there,
It was powerful. And then it was so grand behind, even in its disarray and in need of fixing up. I mean, if it was my building, I would clean it up, but I would leave some of that to it because it had a character that you could, touch on the screen. It's amazing, amazing. So, you said something just then about the camera, and I'm fascinated by your videos because, one, they're clear. You send a picture for the ad that someday you're autographing it for me, whether I have to mail it to you or when I come out to play in the church. I just love it, where you're standing halfway up the building. And yet you use just a phone. Now, some of us are surrounded by equipment. I have some, and I don't even know all to do with it, and I'm getting help with that. But can you tell people what you're using and the importance of recording?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, right now I have a cheap Samsung phone, the A50. I figured I'd never want to have anything really expensive sitting in my pocket while I'm working with steel and climbing things and all that jazz. But yeah, I mean, for a simple phone, it really does very well. I mean, my wife has an iPhone, and sometimes I'll record videos on that, like in 4K. I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. But I will not get Apple. I was like, I can't do it. But yeah, no, recording yourself, man, it's very helpful. I dislike watching myself usually because I'm my own worst critic. I'm just like, what face did you make? Or what note did you make? Or what were you thinking? But it's good because it helps you improve. And also, for me, being able to share it with other people has been the greatest joy. I mean, when that video went viral, I got many messages of people that were telling me that I was in the throes of despair and your music lifted me up out of it. I mean, thank you for making this. I was going to do something I would regret. I mean, just stuff that just gets your heart, breaking for people that are hurting. But knowing that that little bit that I did, the uncomfortableness, right, of recording myself and then putting it out there, man, the benefits can definitely outweigh the detriments in that, you know. So I would recommend it if you got, you know, if you're playing, record yourself, even if you never show it or put it out there, record it so that you can watch it, so you can learn, you can be, maybe I shouldn't make that face when I think I made a mistake.
Yeah, we are all our own worst critics. But, you know, to get to the level that you did, I know you have the musical family background. And by the way, folks, you should know he sings like a canary. Beautiful, beautiful voice. When you all were together in the church again, singing, was it Edelweiss?
Mm-hmm. Edelweiss, yep.
That was beautiful. So, okay, you get your flute. You just started playing because you're comfortable around these instruments because of the way you grew up, and you know you had a built-in family band of 10 plus your parents, that makes 12, and you know your parents are talented too. When you picked up that flute and you first started exploring it, what was the thing that drove you to keep coming back? What can you explain that? I didn't ask it very well, so if you could explain anything, I'll be impressed.
Can I explain that? Man, I connected with it. It hit me in the soul, and it sounded lovely. And like I said, it was a drone, so of course I've played bagpipes as well. I don't have any right now, but I've played bagpipes, so that kind of reminded me of that. And I have some Celtic heritage, so of course I've always had a passion for that. I guess I would say a passion for like minor keys. And the flutes being, you know, the modern tuning being in that pentatonic minor, which I'm also fascinated by the older tunings of the ancient flutes and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to getting my lesson from Peter Pippin on that one. So,
oh, good. Yeah, I hear you two have connected. That's awesome.
Yeah, yep. He's reached out. It's kind of nice. They're both in the Eau Claire area. And yeah, he contacted me. I was like, oh, wow, geez, this is a guy who's like a true professional. I'm just, you know, here blowing on a flute and, you know, walking on some steel. But yeah, there's definitely something cooking there. So that'll be some interesting things. Looking forward to that. I'd like to do some recording with him too sometime. So
I'll tell you, he is. I've chatted with him some. I'm not of his level or anything like that. I'm glad he wants to work with you because I can only imagine the magic that we're all about to hear. And he did a show with Tommy Graven, which was wonderful. And the way he thinks about music and creating music, oh, you two are just going to take off and have fun. That is wonderful. So, you like using the recording and looking at it. Well, I wouldn't say none of us actually like what we see sometimes. But when you go in and you find these acoustic places, do you walk around looking for them, or you just know them from working, or like people have a house, you know, how could they find their house in their house? Where would you suggest?
Whistle. That's what I do. I whistle all the time. I sing all the time. If I don't have a flute or anything like that with me, I'll be whistling or singing or humming, and I'll hear. Oh, okay. For instance, at the job site, I'll walk on the floor, and I'll come back after we put the windows in and so forth, and then okay, well, there's a space up here that the sound kind of travels up and kind of bounces back down when it hits the concrete. So I think I'll try to play here. In a house, a garage. Back the car out and close the door. Usually get a little bit of that acoustic in there. Otherwise, of course, the bathroom. That can be a little tinny. You get maybe some kind of softener. They throw a bunch of towels on the floor or something. I've done that before. The wife comes back afterwards. She's like, "Yeah, why are the towels on the floor?" The kids, I tell you, they leave a mess everywhere they go. But yeah, no, definitely. For me, whistling. And or singing in different places, and you'll kind of hear, and yet, boy, I think a flute would sound good here, and then I'll bring it along with and try it.
So you're musical all the time.
Yeah.
That is a really good point. I hadn't thought of that. One, singing, whistling doesn't always work for me. I mean, I can call a horse in from a field or, you know, something like that, but to whistle a tune, not so much. But I can hum. That, you know, I hadn't thought about walking around doing that. When I go to look for a space in my house, I bring my flute or do something like that, but I should start thinking about being musical all the time.
And, you know, it's crazy how many people outside will like that as well. I mean, so I'll be going to the grocery store and like, let's see how long I can do this before somebody kicks me out. Usually they don't. I mean, they stop and go, oh, that's really cool, or that's weird. I've never seen a flute like that before. But getting past a lot of people have that fear of live performance in a way, but I think it's definitely helped me grow as a player too. As I'm walking back to my car after work, stop and just start to play. And sometimes people will give you a funny look. Sometimes people will throw a donut at you. I mean, do I need a donut? I do not. But better than the rock, I'll tell you that.
Somebody actually really did throw a donut, though?
Yes. And a couple of cookies.
Oh, the cookies I could take.
Right.
You know, we have a rail trail here, and it goes along our river through some woods, and it's a long one, and it's wonderful. And when my husband and I and some of my students first started going down there, we thought, well, you know, people are coming here to find their own peace and quiet. Are we going to be disturbing it? So when people go by on bikes or with the kids walking or whatever, you know, we would stop playing or whatever out of respect for them. And people were like, don't stop, don't stop. Next thing you know, there's this little old guy that stopped us at the head of the trail, and he says, look, what time are you coming every day? Because I'm going to schedule my walk with you. We have yet to find anybody anywhere ever that didn't like what we were doing. And, you know, the playing level that we are doesn't matter. Sometimes I got beginner students with me, and sometimes, you know, my flute, I squeak, obviously. I made that video about it. So, but it's been amazing to me how many people have enjoyed it and actually approached us, even with COVID, at a nice distance, to ask us about them. Whereas if we went without them, we'd all be separate and nobody would be chatting.
Yeah, that's like you said. I mean, it's a connection. People connect through music. Language barriers don't exist in music. When you're playing and it strikes something in somebody's soul or heart or whatever, there's a connection, man. I've had I don't know. So I'm working in Minneapolis right now, which you know, with the trial of and whatnot going on, there's a lot of angst, a lot of angry people, a lot of scared people, and even this afternoon I was stood on the corner of the building and played, and we're a block away from the courthouse. You know, people stopped and looked, and I didn't get shot, so that was a good thing. But you know, I mean, people need to hear what you have to offer. Whoever's watching this, whoever's got a flute, whoever's thinking about playing, people need what you have. So don't be selfish and hoard it from them. Let them have it. If I can be so bold. I mean,
no, Paul, I think I love chatting with you. I really do. You really make me laugh a lot. Now, what about your children? Do they play, or where are they in all this, and where are they headed? Are you know, are all the uncles and aunts and grandparents bringing them into the fold of music too?
oh yeah, definitely. My boys and I will play a lot. I would say a couple of times a week we'll get together and just you know, at this point he's and my oldest is 5 and my youngest is 2, and they both enjoy blowing on the flutes and smacking the guitars, and it's a lot of fun. And I think for me, in a way, because music was a large part of my upbringing, I kind of have carried that on into my own kids as well. Just there's something about music that brings joy. And a happy person plays happy music and sad music. And I think that being involved musically, especially for kids, is something that just is great for their development. I know that there are songs that I remember musically that, like for 50 States or Math and so forth, that stick with me 30 years, well, not quite 30, 25 years later. I still have these in my head because music, it triggers a different part of your brain and it becomes much more easy to recall. I mean, you see, I think of playing in nursing homes, I've done that a time or two as well, where it just triggers something and they'll remember music better than anything else. And so instilling that in my kids as far as just being able to practice and play, and hey, they're the king of squeaks. I mean, but they can make notes and they can make tunes and we just have fun. I mean, that's, I'm a fun guy. So.
You know what I think I would really like, and I wouldn't be surprised if everybody else would too, someday a little family video of that, because I grew up, how I got into music is I was the youngest of 5 and my parents, everybody was musically inclined, and say after Sunday dinner or something like that, we would get together and have, quote, a little band. And you just felt confidence, you felt camaraderie, you had some good laughs, and then you went on about your day and it was just like, yeah, I could do that. That was fun. That was unique. I got to say something else for a change, without using my voice. Does your wife play?
She is playing keyboard and learning guitar as well. So that's something I'm looking forward to as well, just being able to, maybe even do our own family music thing going too, So she's awful busy, but she certainly is. My wife is amazing. I just gotta say that, to the whole world. Suck to be you. She's mine.
Well, I'd say that about my husband, and he'd repeat it back. Some of us are just darn lucky, and we work at it too. I mean, there's that. But Jim and I play together, and it's the end of the day or a Saturday night, and TV is TV, and that's all I have to say about that. So we'll pick up our flutes, and I don't care what we put out, what comes out, but it's always a good time. It's always bonding. We have a parrot who sings with us like she's part of the band, and if she gets going, then we must be doing something right. And it's funny, this parrot has a special friend. She's a fan of Robert Mullinex, who's a flute player, and he's on our groups. And I noticed that when the computer was on, and I play videos of people playing all the time, we play, she gets excited when we do, but she never responded to the tech players until Robert Mullinex came on. And every time he comes on, if I have one of his videos, she starts singing and dancing, and he's actually made her own videos. So if she's having a cranky day, because you don't want a cranky parrot, we turn on one of his videos and the world is right again. And that's the thing also with children. Like I was saying, my parents on weekends would get together, 5 kids. You grew up with 10, you know what I'm talking about. Life can get chaotic, but you all settle down and just, go with the flow together. It's very bonding.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things too, just with one of these days I'll share that story. This is with what happened with my family, and my dad basically had 9 strokes, and there's quite a history with that as far as, and even with kind of tying in with the music and stuff as well. But I think that music really helped. The fact that we played music together really helped bond us together when times got tough, when there was a lot of stress that would oftentimes pull families apart. It just really kind of brought ours even closer together.
And your father is a miracle.
Yes, 100%. He was declared brain dead, had no response to pain, no brainwave activity. They said he was going to be a vegetable for the rest of his life, and God had other plans. and he has all his memories, all his faculties. He has some physical detriments, but from being brain dead to remembering everything from his entire life, it's no other explanation, man. And like I said, when I do that video, it's either going to be a really, really long one or a lot of shorter ones.
Well, that really is a story. And like you said, it's a miracle. God bless your father. I mean, he did. God bless your father and your family. And that your family is really about that too, and openly just warm and embracing that in your life. And I think that also makes a difference and keeps families together too. And I don't mean to say about people who don't, but you know, having the music bringing you together, having that belief system bringing you together and staying together. I mean, that's the best part of being human. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters.
Vince Lombardi said it best: faith, family, and football. Go Pack, go.
How about we do this? Faith, family, and flutes?
Hey, there you go. Now you're talking.
Hey, so we could start making t-shirts here.
Right.
And I could use them as a fundraiser so I could come out and play in that church with you.
Well, you let me know when you do come out, because we will absolutely, now probably in the summertime, because it gets awful chilly out here, as you would know up there in the wintertime.
Yeah. We might have a warm up this week where I'm going to meet with some people outside by our river, but it's actually been a mild winter, but it's not the kind of winter where you go walking out with a flute.
Yeah. We had 70 degrees today over in Minneapolis.
Wow.
You know, tomorrow it's supposed to be 45, maybe.
Yeah, you guys get really cold too. Well, Paul, do you have any other suggestions for people, especially, how about this? Do you have a drone suggestion for people like me who love drones? I play well enough, but I want to play like you, only I want to be me. What techniques, any tips that you have for playing the drone, sensibility of it?
Breath control and diaphragmatic breathing. I hear a lot of times where people will kind of run out of breath as they're, you know, trying to play you're playing two flutes, you know. I mean, that's a lot. It's, you know, especially if your lungs aren't used to it, but really practicing with that, with, you know, breathing with your belly. And then slowly controlling that out. You know, my wife, a little bit of a tangent, but when my wife was giving birth, you know, we were doing breathing exercises together. Same breathing exercises that I do when I'm, you know, practicing for the flute. So I have a 2-hour drive one way, and I'll do breathing exercises, thinking about, okay, how am I going to control, you know, short bursts of air, trying to get it to control. Like I said, I'll have to learn how to, what do they call it? Circular breathe. Yeah. But definitely with regards to the drones, you know, that breath control is going to be really important, because you have to provide enough air for both flutes that you're not losing out on one or the other. And I guess the other thing I would say is, you know, don't be afraid to just play one. You know, as you're playing, you can switch back and forth. With the drone flute that I have, this big stick one, when you're up on your side like that, it's a little different. You hear the drone out of this ear, and you hear the other one out of the other one. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go stereo now. But getting used to playing a drone flute, again, like I said, what I would do when I first started that was just play both tones in just one long continuous tone as long as I could go, and then I would try to go longer. And then again, you can adjust and start using, you know, your tongue to stop the flow of air a little bit. Allow your cheeks to puff out. Like, I'll store some air in my cheeks sometimes if I need to get that final note before I quick jump back to a breath.
And is your high spirits one, do you have the harmony drones on the side or just on the one side?
It's just on the one side, so it's it just has the open hole, and this one is just the single tone. Yeah, piece. I've seen some where they've got the where like it's a double, but it has the it's with the alternating tone on that as well.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, like I said, I'm just starting in my flute purchasing journey, so.
Well, when I come out, not if, All my drones have what I call the harmony holes. And if COVID is over and things work out right and we put the little plastic tube in, I would love to see what you do with one of those, because it really opens up a lot of different things. And I'm exploring them a lot. I love them. I have a lot of students now that also have them. And we're just really enjoying them. And they've been waiting to hear your interview.
Well, that's I'm flattered. I really am. I thank you. I mean, when you reached out to me, I was like, wait, what? This lady here, she wants to talk to little old me?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You've been on my list for quite a while. So
well, that's appreciated.
well, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you have your family to get to and you've just come home from work. So is there anything else you would like to cover before we go?
I think that's pretty much it. Everyone obviously check out Helen and all the stuff that she's got to offer. It's pretty fantastic. Yeah, like you said, in April, I'll be doing another show, and Tommy reached out to me. I was like, whoa, okay. So we'll see for this.
You're going to have so much fun on Tommy's show. It's wonderful. I love him. I love that show. Well, all the best to you and your family, and to moving into your very first home of your own and your flute room. And with that, I'd like to say, I look forward to seeing everybody else next time on Flute Topics. And until then, happy fluting.